There is a Latin term called equal onus. Onus means burden or weight. So there is an equal burden or an equal weight on the employee, in my mind, in my judgment. They have got to step up and take the initiative. They have got to have the courage of their convictions. They have to speak what's on their mind. They have to ask questions.
When it comes to business in a workplace, there has to be an agreement of why we're giving you this, right? It's a two-way street. I definitely think that needs to be. What happens if somebody clearly, like, you lay that out there and they're just like, whatever, they're not buying into this?
So the answer to that is, you think of an hourglass. So you take an hourglass and you flip it over, a bunch of the sand just goes and it drops right down. Right. Some of it just kind of takes its time. It's on its way down. And some of it just hangs around on the side. It takes like forever.
Yeah.
But ultimately it gets there. What you have to decide is this person, who's obviously not sort of an early adopter and just flows right down, are they just having to wrap their head around what this is all about? I don't quite get it. I'll get there if you give me time. Or are they just culturally not aligned with you? And so my advice is, give it time, be patient. Everybody's different. Help people to see what it is that you see and stay with them. But at the end of the day, if they're clearly not on board, I say, look, I appreciate the fact that you don't have the same point of view about people as I do, and I respect that. So unfortunately, you're going to have to go find an organization that aligns with your culture instead of this one. That's okay. That's not a judgment. It's just that this is the way I'm going to run my team. And if that's not the way you want to be run, no problem. But go find a place that you're more comfortable. But that is rare if you are willing to help the person make it down through the hourglass. You got to be willing to do that. And which comes back to, do you value the potential of people, right? Give them time to get where they got to go.
At what point do you make the determination that maybe you want it for them more than they do?
So a simple test is whether they are influencing negatively those around them. If they're beginning to have a negative influence around them, then you're past the point. It's time to act. Because a person who is struggling to get it is not a negative influence. They're not a positive influence, but they're not a detractor. But when you see that they're starting to work against you, then you got to act.
Because then it's just insidious. It can destroy the culture.
Quickly. And you lose the respect of your team because they're saying, why is he letting that guy get away with that? That just doesn't make sense to me. And then your whole credibility's down. So you have to manage that.
So in this world, what can happen a lot, it's challenging to find the folks that are going to perform at the level that we need to be successful, because the margins are small on the P&C side. And then when you get a really, like I've done this a couple times where you have somebody really strong, but they affect the rest of the team. And Jason's had it too. And I think a lot of people listening probably have stuck with that person way too long because of, hey, I'm getting a lot of production here, double everybody else. But at the end of the day, they wreck everything.
Absolutely. It's a tough decision for a leader to make. That's one of the classics, They're high productivity, but we're bad for the culture. But at the end of the day, the impact that they have for bad, far greater than you realize. Now, again, if you're a great leader, you're not like an idiot. You think, okay, this person is definitely not a good cultural fit. So I'm going to have to act on them. I don't have to act today. I can put a plan in place and do it in a way that doesn't hurt the business and, transition, groom somebody up. So it's not like it's out of the blue. You see it coming. You should be taking steps and say, I'm going to try to help him or her. But if they don't turn around, I have a game plan in the back of my pocket ready to go. It's gold of the desert kings. Don't rush across the desert until you've planned for the food and water. Then go.
Do you see that a lot with business owners, especially in smaller organizations where maybe cash flow needs to be managed very carefully?
I would say it is less cash flow and more lack of appreciation for how to lead. So if I were to give you a quick example, let's say you start out early in your career and you get a job as a laborer on a road crew. And your job is, you dig the ditches and you move the dirt around and stuff. And then you're hardworking, so they promote you. So now you got a little team. So you're still digging ditches, but you're also showing the other guys, which shovels to use, which shovels not to use. So they promote you. And now you got the backhoe. Hey, you get to drive the backhoe. That's pretty cool. But you also get to hire the crew. Now you're managing the backhoe. And then they can promote you again. Now you're managing the backhoe and the trucks. And before you know it, instead of just at the end of the day having a beer with the boys, at the end of, you're 2 or 3 years into your career, you're managing people. You got men and women who are looking to you for leadership, and who do you hire and how do you deal with problems on the job site? And you wake up and go, man, I'm spending more time with people than I am on things. So what do? You use the skills that got you promoted. And the thing that got you promoted was, I'm good with things. I know how to I do this and this happens. I do this and that happens. So you apply the things you have learned to your people. But people are not things. So that's why you have in organizations senior folks who are not good people managers, because they're treating the people like things. Like, okay, I tell them what to do. I do this, I organize that, but people are not things. So the issue, especially in smaller organization, is they're incredibly good at making the sale, dealing with the customer, doing all the insurance stuff that you got to do with the forms and the legislation and the government, but they're never been trained to deal with people. So now I got to deal with a person. I deal with it like I deal with anything else. Okay, do what I got to do with now, put it aside, move to the next task. But it doesn't work like that. So I would say it's less cash and more skill.